Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Lauren McLemore, and I'm the Associate Editor for Colored Gemstones at National Jeweler. I'm pleased to welcome you to the latest episode of My Next Question, National Jeweler and Jewelers of America's co-branded webinar series. This month's webinar is sponsored by the Gemological Institute of America. Today, Jewelers of America's Director of PR and Events, Amanda Gizzi, and I are co-hosting a session on preparing to shine this holiday season with Jesse Dikes, Store Manager at Weston Jewelers Hard Rock, Sara Reisz Sargent, owner at Summer Wench Jewelers and Goldsmiths, and Amina Sorel, founder of Amina Sorel Fine Jewelry. Before we get the webinar started, I just want to let the attendees know that if you have questions, you can type it into the Zoom Q&A box, and I'll be back on at the end of the discussion to share the questions. Also, today's session is being recorded and will be available on the National Jeweler website on Friday. Now I'll hand it over to Amanda to get the discussion started, and I'll be back to field questions at the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. Appreciate the introduction. And thank you to Jesse, Amina, and Sara for being part of this panel discussion today. It's hard to believe that we are already in the middle or tail end of September and in the crunch to the holiday season. And it's a perfect time for us to spend time together to talk to all of our fellow jewelers about how to maximize the holiday season and make it the most successful holiday season as possible. So we're delighted to have the three of you with us. I should say we're proud to have all three of you as Jewelers of America's 20 Under 40 as well. So this is a nice opportunity for everyone to hear from our brightest stars in the industry. So thank you to the three of you for joining us. I would like to start off before we dive right into some of the tangible questions that we have to take a few minutes to allow each of you to introduce yourselves and introduce your businesses. And then we'll sort of kick off with some questions and dive right in. So if I could start with you, Jesse.
Yeah, so my name is Jesse Dikes. I'm part of a family-owned business in South Florida called Weston Jewelers. I've been around the industry my whole life, and when your parents work together, the conversations at the dinner table always revolve around business. Our main location is in the city of Weston, and we have another location at Hard Rock, which I run along with Hubla Boutique as well. After finishing college, I lived in New York for a year and completed the graduate gemologist course at GIA. But I mean, overall, working in a casino environment and in a jewelry store is quite unique and pretty crazy. I mean, it's as crazy as you can imagine. I've learned some very valuable lessons and experiences here, and it's definitely helped me grow professionally and personally for sure.
Terrific, thank you. Sara?
Almost forgot to unmute myself. Hi, I'm Sara Sargent. I'm the co-owner and store manager at Summer Wench Jewelers and Goldsmiths in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Also a family business. I'm the second generation, and I've been in the industry for a little over 17 years. I have a GG from GIA and an RJ from AGS. My store is a single location. We're located in a downtown area. We do full service repairs. We specialize in custom design, and we also sell jewelry and we handpick everything that we put in the store. We go to shows. That's a lot of fun. I bring my staff with me because I really like to involve all of them in the jewelry buying process. And I think one of the things that sets us apart is how we treat people and the environment that we create in our store. We try to be very welcoming and down to earth and just make jewelry buying fun, because it should be. So that's a little about us.
Great, thanks, Sara. Amina?
Hi, everyone. My name is Amina Sorel. I am the owner of Amina Sorel Fine Jewelry. We are located in the heart of the Diamond District. We are right on 47th and 580 Diamond Tower. We are a full service showroom, so we do all our repairs on site, engravings. Our gem cutting is also on site. We are sustainable, so all of our jewelry, well, let me say all of our diamonds are traceable, which is really important to us. That's something that we really like to strive and pursue each and every day, using fair mined gold, sustainable materials, and really understanding the pipeline of all of our gemstones, major for our company. We specialize in custom orders as well, bridal. So anything you can think of, whether you want to have some diamonds in your mouth or diamonds in your ear, we are full service. We can do anything you can think of. Also, I'm a GG from GIA New York campus. That's also very important because we like to bring that into our work as well, using the highest quality materials that we can find. All the designers that we bring in as well, we make sure we vet them, that they're using Fairmine Gold, that they're sustainable as well, and that we can vouch for all of their gemstones, especially with the climate of the market, with all the different types of gemstones entering the market at this time. So trust is really important to us. That's us.
Terrific. Well, three very different businesses, but all very successful in your own right. So we're excited to sort of dive in a little bit more into the holiday season. Could each of you give a feel for how big of a chunk of your pie is the holiday season? I remember at one time, the industry stats said that it was upwards of 40%. So how important are the next 3 months to your business? And Amina, I'll start with you.
I would say it's definitely still up there for me personally, especially because where I am and I do a lot of custom work. So that time is going to be a lot of engagements happening, a lot of gifts being given. That's kind of where my business is going to thrive. I won't say I'll say because of the internet, we're able to sustain ourselves much longer now, because people are still buying and they don't necessarily need to come in. It doesn't necessarily need to be a holiday. Could they just have a one? Or they may just come across your website and they might buy from your e-commerce site. So yes, it's still a major part, but not quite as major for me personally as it may have been.
Great. Sarah?
Yeah, well, if we're counting the whole fourth quarter, I would say that it's anywhere from 35 to 40%. Our December sales are usually in the neighborhood of 25% of our year.
Okay. So it's a big deal, important. Jesse?
Yeah, I would definitely say that holiday season is huge for us, especially in South Florida. Things are always slower in the summer because it's brutally hot here and everybody leaves and goes on vacation. So those couple months during the summer when it's slower moving into holiday season is always important for us to make sure that, we can make up from lost time, I guess you could say.
Right. So in the interest of providing like a little bit more tangible benefit for everybody on the call, we'd like to dive a little bit into some details. So if each of you could give us one of your most innovative strategies that you've implemented in your store to help make the holiday season very successful and help drive holiday sales. If you could pick one of those, what would they be and why? Jesse, I'll start with you.
Yeah. So within our CRM system, we have a wish list that clients can come in and add certain pieces to. And then once holiday season rolls around, we'll reach out to their spouses and loved ones and let them know what pieces they have in mind. So that way it's a very easy process for our sales team to kind of guide people along the way and make sure that the end receiver gets exactly what they're looking for.
Great. Sarah?
So my answer here is actually a little not innovative. I say, don't try to reinvent the wheel. Traditional and digital marketing, of course, but simple, straightforward messaging and make sure your staff training is up to par. And we really focus on the atmosphere we create in our store. So that's decorating the store, making sure the store is clean, the right temperature, just all those things that make people want to come in and stay.
All of those little things that we don't talk about very often, which is really important. The in-store experience. For
Yes.
Sure. Okay. Amina?
Yeah, just kind of a little bit to dovetail off of that, in-store activations for me. I like to really do things in the showroom. Maybe they're annual. Maybe they can always know that around this time we're going to have some sort of activation. I've noticed has done really well and gotten people really excited to purchase.
We're going to come back to that and dive into that a little bit more here. And Amina, maybe we can each give a couple of examples because it sounds like that's a big part of business, especially at the holiday season. So this next question sort of ties into that a little bit with how do you enhance the customer experience during this busy holiday season? And I know, Sara, you mentioned little things like the temperature, but what specific techniques have proven to be really effective? Obviously, we know everybody's super busy. The holiday seasons get crazy. So what little extra touch have you proven to be effective to not only bring them in, but to also help maybe sell a little bit more expensive item? What would you say to that? Yeah.
So yes, in addition to everything I already said, and we have a wish list as well, and we also have a rewards program that we use to kind of get people back in and shopping here, and they can use rewards on anything they want. They just can't get discounts or earn rewards when they're using their rewards. And another thing that's really key to the selling process is the add-on sale. So you always want to be asking everyone something else, someone else you're shopping for, and making sure you're showing a coordinating piece or something like that, because that can really boost your sales.
Great. Jesse?
I would say setting up personal one-on-one shopping appointments. I think that's really the best way to create an incredible experience for any clients walking in. I would say regardless if it's a holiday or any big purchase being made, it definitely makes it that much more special when they get that one-on-one time, and you really do your best to make it an incredible experience, and they are comfortable and enjoy their time there.
Amina?
Yeah, I would say also being consistent with your clients, speaking to them, having a rapport with them, knowing what they're interested in. If you have new designers or new pieces that you think that these particular clientele would be drawn to, send them a personal text message or an email or something like that. Make it a little bit personal. And that, of course, is always going to attract a personal approach. So they will feed off of that if you are making them feel comfortable.
Yeah, great point. For specific holiday promotions, we hear a lot about, forever it was, Black Friday sales or small little items to drive people into the store. Have you had to have, or do you have successful holiday promotions that help sort of bring them in? So we know that they're coming in for those one-on-one appointments, but are there any sort of specific holiday promotions that you've seen, wow, that really boosted the sales? Or is it all just like building this healthy environment to make sure that they know this is where they're coming for their holiday season? And any of you, Amina, you want to start off?
Yes, I think that you should, not definitely. If it works for your structure, you should do sales. I think that giveaways, say they spend X amount and they get a free pair of this, or they have a free jewelry cleaner or something collateral for them to have that's branded. I think that's beneficial to both you, and it makes the client feel special. And then they feel like, oh, I want to purchase more. I got this gift. Let me buy something else, or however they kind of compute that for themselves. But yeah, I definitely think that sales help. Annual sales do help, especially around the holiday season.
Jesse?
Yeah, just to piggyback off of that, we do a lot of gift purchases during that time as well.
Mm-hmm.
We do our best to advertise this on social media, and we'll create creative ideas where we can showcase like a stocking stuffers where you can actually get these little things with gift purchases that will be great for that. We also have a countdown to Christmas where every day we're promoting and doing our best to drive traffic.
Great. Sara?
Yeah, so our big December promotion is our anniversary event that we host every year. We've been in business for 52 years, and so I'm not sure exactly how long my dad's been doing the event, but most of the time. And that is usually the first or the second Thursday in December. We send a letter, so direct mail, and of course, emails and things like that, but people know about the event and they're expecting it. They'll even come in, starting at Thanksgiving. Oh, when is your event going to be? And we make that really nice. We have it catered. We have a full bar. It's 20 to 40% off the entire store for 5 hours only.
Wow.
And with the exception of, we have some MSRP designer lines that we do not discount. But yep, it's we base that discount on the age of the item. And they also get the rewards that night, even though normally they don't get rewards if they're using a discount. So it's a little bit of a double bonus, and that's usually our busiest night of the whole season. And it's great to drive your early sales because some of those people will forget or decide to come back for something else at the last minute.
Great idea. How many people do you have to staff for that event, Sarah? Is it all, I assume it's all hands on deck for that night?
It's all hands on deck. I have a pretty small staff. We sometimes have a couple people come in to help us, whether it's with the bar or a dedicated cash wrap person. Anybody we can get in here because it's crazy. And we have a pretty small store, so it's packed.
I love a good packed jewelry store. That's a great thing.
Can't complain.
Yeah. Before I get into some of my other questions, somebody posted something in the chat that I just wanted to circle back to. And before we get too far away from it, I'm referring to one-on-ones. How do you book one-on-ones with clients who have not reached out to you yet, looking for a holiday gift? She said, not referring to incoming clients. This is for clients that you have not heard from. So I just wanted to sort of talk a little bit more about booking your one-on-ones. Are those primarily your existing clients, I think is really the question, or do you spend more time with one-on-ones during the holiday season? I know, Jesse, you mentioned that being a particular reason why holiday does well for you, of making people feel like valued customers. So how do you handle that?
I mean, we will normally book one-on-ones throughout the year.
Mhm.
It's not specific just to holidays, but usually that's when it becomes a lot more intimate, I guess you could say. And usually towards the holiday season is when people make larger purchases, so it makes it that much more special, I guess you could say.
Great, thank you. So let's talk a little bit about the vendor relationships. Do all three of you carry different vendors in your store? You're not just house brands, correct? All three of you, right? So how are your vendor relationships different during the holiday season than they are throughout the year? And how are you ensuring that you have the right product mix for the holiday season? If each of you could spend a little bit of time talking about that dynamic as it relates specifically to the fourth quarter and the holiday season. Jesse, I'll start with you.
Yeah, so we go to the jewelry show in Vegas every year, and we've had our main store in Weston for almost 25 years now. So through time, we've definitely developed some great relationships with many different vendors. And what we'll normally do is try to bring in those big memo pieces that you don't see throughout the year during holiday season. That way, when clients come in, it's something that's very unique and special that they don't see year round.
Love that. Sarah?
Yeah, so like Jesse, the prep for the holiday definitely begins in Vegas, if not before. So we plan ahead. A lot of my suppliers tell us we're their most organized clients because we show up with all of our reports and our list of reorders, what we want to stock balance, and we get on it with promotions, trunk shows, marketing stuff we want to do for the rest of the year. So that's really important. I think seeing face to face, having those conversations and building those relationships. The other thing is we do have reps come into the store later in the season when it gets closer to holiday. And I just went to the select show that was driving distance from me to kind of stock up a little bit for the fourth quarter, see if there's anything new. And also at that point, they can tell me, hey, what's been selling since Vegas, as opposed to when you're in Vegas and they're telling you, oh, everybody's buying this. But what you want to know is what they actually reordered and continued selling. So that's another thing that's important.
Thanks. Amina?
So yes, exactly. Staying in contact with your vendors, having that rapport with them, that open dialogue where they can tell you what is actually selling, what they think would do well in your store. Taking a look at all of your analytics. The earlier you start, of course, the better, so that you have an understanding of what's trending, staying on top of trends, staying on top of even things going on in politics, because we see how gold has been really affected, diamond pricing has been really affected. So maybe just keeping engaged with all of that prior to even going to Vegas, and then after Vegas, doing that follow-up and continuing talking with your vendors about what's selling and taking a look at your analytics and seeing what they were last year compared to this year, compared to what your vendors are saying.
For sure. Thanks. And some of this obviously ties directly back into social, and I know it's always part of the conversation, and social media has become such an integral part of marketing to our customer base and to your consumers. But what social media strategies have you found to be successful, and what are you really pushing for this holiday season in the social media space? Are there things that you do differently during the holidays than you do other times during the year? So how important has that sort of become to your business? Amina, I'll start with you.
So I like to do a lot of collaborations and events leading into holiday. I think collaborations are a really great way to get your clients engaged. It doesn't seem forceful. You're getting new clients that are like-minded, hopefully, if you collab in the right way. You know, that's the goal, to get a like-minded collaboration happening, something that makes sense with your business. So that's something that I like to do a little bit before, and then of course during the holiday season.
The collaborations.
Mhm.
Which platforms are you primarily using for your business, Amina?
Social media platforms.
Yeah.
So I suggest personally you use all of them.
Mhm.
So don't just limit to yourself to just one way, one market, because each of them have their own demographic, have their own market. They all get sold to differently. They all want to be sold to differently. So you should have a TikTok because you want your alphas and your Gen Zers. You should have your Facebook because you need all of the 40, 50 plus. You know, you want your people in the middle, you want your Instagram. Those are all different demographics. So recognizing that, selling to those different people differently will be paramount in your success on how you do social media.
So your product mix is different as you promote across different platforms.
Yeah.
As well.
We're going to be, yeah, some things are going to be succinct. So some things, of course, typography, colors, maybe some of the photography, but maybe we're going to do a reel here, and we're going to do a static photo here, or we're going to do more words for Facebook. You know what I mean? Whatever it is, it's going to be succinct, but slightly different for each platform.
How early are you starting for holiday season? How early do you start? How early are you planning on starting talking about
October.
holiday? October. Okay.
October, November.
All right. Jesse?
Yeah, I would say Amina definitely covered majority of what we do. But I would definitely agree. From what we've noticed, that reels definitely help the most. I think they're a lot more interactive than something like a picture, but it all depends on your audience. And what we do a lot is we boost those reels, because that's really how you get as many views as possible.
Absolutely. How are you seeing, Jesse? How are you seeing the buy-through relationship from social versus just potentially bringing bodies into the door? Are you seeing those convert to sales?
It definitely is hard to tell. But within our point of sale, we use the edge. We can actually document where the client, why they came in today. So that way we can know if they saw something online, or they were referred to by a friend, or, it's a good way of tracking to see where the money is going and if it's actually worth it and how it's paying off in the back end.
Great. Sara?
Yeah, funny reels, not just jewelry making or behind the scenes. We do a lot of that, but funny and trending audios, nothing groundbreaking there. That stuff works, but we do intersperse it with the static post and the carousel posts. We're trying to post every single day. We're trying to utilize our stories and not just share jewelry on there, but events going on in the store, fun things like that. We also have a specific behind the scenes account, which my younger staff started, and we don't have a lot of followers yet, but it's really fun.
All right, share the handle with us so we can all follow.
It's Summer Wind BTS.
Oh, cute.
And yes, you'll also see a lot of dogs on there because my entire staff are dog lovers. So yeah, you just have to use it every single day. And we go live sometimes. That's been another thing that we found boosted engagement on our page, but it's not something you have a lot of time for during the holidays. Sometimes we'll stay open late, or if it's quiet, we might go live and do that then and share some new pieces or something like that.
Thank you.
Oh, and we primarily use Instagram and link it with Facebook. We're not great at TikTok. We should be better.
It's definitely a learning process for most people to get into the TikTok space and to do it well and to do it efficiently and effectively. That's for sure. The one thing I will say is, it's a resource like everything else, right? It's like you get in, you take out what you put in. So it's like you feel like you're constantly trying to stay up on it. I've seen a lot of questions come in regarding the CRM. So I wanted to talk a little bit about tools and dive in a little bit more some of the tools and practices for inventory management, because I noticed there has been a lot of questions. Which thank you to you being amazing panelists for answering those comments in the chat. Appreciate that. Being able to multitask. So we've talked about the edge, obviously, with your CRM. I think, Jesse, you said you use the edge, and Sarah, you do as well. And Amina, what CRM system?
I've used the Edge as well.
Okay, so we got three
Yeah,
edge
it's the
users.
most popular.
Okay. So let's talk about maybe a couple of things within the edge. I know you talked about booking appointments. What other tools are you using to help you best manage that inventory for the holiday? Sarah, I'm going to start with you since you're the most organized person at all the shows. You can give us all, let us all learn from your ways.
We really use a lot of reports. We don't use the Edge to the full extent that it's capable of. It's an incredible program. I just sent one of my staff to do some training there. We have been using Client Book. We are switching over to Podium. Okay. If you want to know about that, you can contact me on Instagram or something. And yeah, so I actually work with a business coach through a company called Focus Business Management that I've been working with since 2015, and I use a lot of their reporting at the moment. It's kind of like the big network or the Edge Retail Academy. It's just they have a slightly different software and do things a little bit differently. And so in terms of preparing for the holidays, one of the reports that I'm going to look at very soon here is the Fast and Fast Seller report, and anything that's sold 2 or 3 times, then I may want to bring in an extra one of those. If it's sold 5 times, I might want 2 extras. If it's sold a couple times, but it takes 6 months to sell, then maybe I don't need an extra. So it's utilizing the tools that you have, but also interpreting it with your brain and making smart decisions about how to use those things.
Great tips there. Thank you. Jesse.
Yeah, I mean, everything for us is really tied to the Edge. As Sarah was saying, it has many different abilities. What I find to be, one of the most useful things is just making sure you have the right product assortment. And if you know that something's going to sell and, be a quick turnover for you, you got to make sure you have extra, especially during the holiday season, because once something sells out, it's very hard to get another very, very quickly. So you really have to time it and make sure you're contacting clients and letting them know when you're getting new product in and setting up those appointments.
Amina.
Yes, another platform you could use is Asana. I know some people use Asana as well. But the good thing that I love about both of those platforms are if you're doing any custom work, like if you have a lot of custom coming in for holiday season, it allows you to keep track of where everything is, who has what, where you are with everything. So it really helps you stay organized. But yeah, the biggest thing is going to be able to reading your analytics and actually using what you're reading. So that's important, not just keeping all of them, but actually using the information and implementing in what you're doing. So staying ahead of the curve.
Great, thank you.
So, and speaking of, a lot of those tools that we're using are digital, and another tool that you have at your disposal is your e-commerce and your online. So one of the questions that came in at the beginning of the webinar is, asking how much you sell online on average. But I think, the second question is important, which is, what's one thing you did that you saw a major increase in online sales? So if there's anything that comes to mind that, I mean, we try a lot of different things, but any one thing that comes to mind that really made a big difference for you in your online sales. I guess we could start with Jesse.
So we don't have a huge online sales presence. So we definitely our website is useful in terms of promoting what we have in store. But I feel like the key to selling is definitely getting clients to come in, because at the end of the day, when you're making a big purchase, you want to touch it, see it, feel it. And it's buying something expensive online is definitely tricky. So it's not a huge thing for us. We really just try to bring the client in store at the end of the day.
Sarah, what about you?
We also do not have a lot of online sales currently. We do have a fully shoppable website, and we're uploading our inventory every single day as it comes in. If anybody does have the secret to kind of turning that on, that's what we've been waiting for. And we're doing a variety of different things to try to market that more to our customers. But like Jesse said, the main point of your website, or at least for us at this time, is to get more people into our store. And if they pre-shop, that just makes it easier to work with them when they come in.
And Amina.
So I think that if you do sales that tie into your website, that's a good way to get more people on the site. So if you say, okay, we're doing 30% off on the website only, it's gonna drive people towards your site. If you're boosting, like if you're doing any promotions, if you're doing reels, if you're doing TikTok, whatever you're doing, and you boost towards your site, because you have the option boost towards your email, boost towards your Instagram DMs, boost towards your website, and see if you see any fluctuation with sales or anything like that. Just take a look at your analytics, your backends after you do that. But yeah, I think just trying to tie something into the site, whether it's, okay, you come in and you make an in-store purchase, you now receive a 10% coupon off the site. So I have you in the store and I'm getting you on the website, and then I'll get you more used to using the site. Or you can have things, if it's really in your store that a lot of people are coming in, if you want to use some sort of tablet or whatever, a lot of AI tech coming into stores now that maybe drives people back to the website, that's a good way to kind of see a boost, because that's going to be like passive almost income in a way. Like you're not going to be working quite as hard as you are in store for that sale as if it just comes online. You just have to keep up with it more than anything else.
Sure. Yeah, thanks. Those are great answers.
There was a follow-up question to the website question, which is, do they talk to the edge? Do your websites talk to the edge? I know obviously it doesn't sound like e-commerce is a big part of your sales currently, but does your website currently talk to the edge? No.
We actually,
No.
oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Jeffrey.
We actually have our website run by the edge.
Oh,
So as soon as someone is interested in something, we're able to know on the back end, and we can then have our team reach out to them.
great. Amina, do you want to answer? Does your website talk to the edge?
Mine does not, but I talk to Shopify quite a bit. So I'm always on that. So yeah, you got to figure out a way. But yeah, I need to learn how to do that. We need to talk to the edge.
But yeah, lots of constant communication with Shopify, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. All right, well, let's move into the products themselves. Let's talk about trends, styles, what we're predicting, what you're seeing, what you're promoting. Obviously, we know, it's interesting. Within the 20 under 40 group, we did a poll reaching out to our 20 under 40 across the country, asking what products that they were expecting to be popular for the holiday season. And we always have such a wide variety of answers. And I always find that fascinating. And what makes our industry so amazing is that you can have, one store that's like, yellow gold is all the rage. And then you have one store that's like, oh, that was all the rage 5 years ago. We're moving back into white. Or, we're selling a our hot item is going to be our, $15,000 watch, and somebody else's hot item is going to be, Huggy Labrum hoops. I don't know. Yeah, but I always find that amazing. So if each of you could talk a little bit about what you're predicting and what you're pushing, sort of what are those items that you're really going to be promoting this holiday season? And I know we talked about starting a little bit earlier. So when are you also starting to roll out your holiday campaigns? Sarah, I'll start with you.
Yeah, so I would say October. That's when everybody does it now, so you have to start that early. We'll hold off decorating until after Halloween, but yeah, so some of the things that I've been seeing in our store are selling really well. We have been doing a lot of simple mounted color, and that's just kind of flying out the door, both in gold and silver. We're thinking that we're going to have a big season for diamond bracelets, and also gold chains still really hot for us. So those are some of the things that here anyway that I think are going to be popular, but you never know.
You're hoping, 'cause that's what you've stocked up on, right?
Well, we've tried to stock up on what we need, and I try to hit different price points in every category. And like I said about the fast sellers, stocking up those. So yeah, can't predict to be ready for everything.
There you go. Jesse?
So what I've definitely been noticing is something that used to be a pastime has been modernized and reimagined. It's different designs of pearls. So it definitely seems like pearls are making a big comeback, with men also, which is pretty incredible. Either something like that, or maybe any type of collared or tight choker type necklaces definitely seem like those are in as well.
Love that. Amina?
Yeah, definitely. As Jesse said, I see the pearl spotting, as you could say, and that's really a testimony to the entertainment industry. So that's always a really good gauge of what we're going to see trickle down into the stores and into what our clientele is looking for. So following Met Gala, following what entertainers are wearing, that unisex. So men are starting to wear shorter chains. They want them to sit at the 18 mark instead of like the 20 or the 22 that you would normally see. Earrings, huggies for men, so a lot more unisex things I'd see, as well as gold. I personally think yellow gold is holding strong. It is the highest it has ever been in history, but it is still maintaining. And people are still purchasing at a normal rate, if not a little bit more, which is interesting. Your classics, so tennises, stud earrings, all of those things I think are going to continue to be popular for holiday.
Easy giftable items.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
for sure. I know, I can only imagine. I always give retailers so much credit, because even as I've been in this industry for, several decades now. But just as a consumer walking into a jewelry store, to know the amount of options that people have in front of them, to walk in and say, how do I find the perfect gift for my loved one when I have so many choices? And I know that you guys brought up wish lists before, and that's come up. How big of a tool is that? And is that something that you see growing, or has sort of social media become people's like, all right, well, check, I always tell people, if my husband ever asks you, tell him to go look at my Instagram account, because that's where I'm starting to like tag things with the my jewelry wish list hashtag, sort of being a little bit more clever with things. But going back to the wish list concept, is that something that we're seeing continuing to grow? Is that a dated thing, or are we modernizing it with each generation? And Jesse, I know you mentioned you guys do wish lists in your store.
Yeah, I mean, wish lists it's definitely an incredible tool. So attached to the edge, we also use Client Book, and it definitely helps. So Client Book actually will let us know, based off of a client's trends of how often they purchase, which helps knowing when's the right time to reach out to them. And we can, see everything in Client Book, contact clients through Client Book. So everything's integrated, where we can actually use the edge and that wish list and know exactly where to point clients when they come in the store. So that way they don't get overwhelmed and have too many options, and it kind of narrows things down a little bit.
Great. Sarah, you want to talk more about your wish list?
Yep, same kind of system. We do have a little in-store promotion where if they fill out a card with all their information and some wish list items that we will add into the Edge for them, they can get a coupon or something like that. Or if it's at an event, there might be special, they can enter a giveaway, something along those lines. But yeah, I do think it's grown in popularity because the husbands love it when they come in and they'll go, what's on our wish list? They know about it. I'm not really seeing the social thing yet, but I don't run our social media. And I do think that people reach out and message and say, put this on my wish list pretty frequently. I see those messages come.
That's great. Amina, do you do anything in the wish list space with your clients?
Not really online. I don't really do too much on that wish list space. I think that'll kind of come up when I have a client that I've had for years and I know something that they've been looking for, or I'll come across something that I know would really interest them. If I know they're a watch collector and I come across a really gorgeous watch that would go well with their collection, then I would kind of make my own wish list for them and maybe share that with them, like, oh, hey, how about this? So yeah, there's different ways to do it, but I definitely think that implementing a wish list, especially through the Edge, is really great.
Thank you. I have 2 more questions before I turn over to some questions from the audience. The first of which is training. So I know that you mentioned obviously holiday being a big time of year. How do you train your sales team differently for leading up to the important fourth quarter, or do you need to train them differently, or is the training sort of the same? And how much staffing do you have to bring in? How much temporary staff do you bring in? Holiday specific staff do you bring in? And do you have to train them specifically in the run up to holidays as well? And whoever wants to take it first, up for grabs. Or else I'll assign it.
I'll jump in so we're not sitting awkwardly. So everyone hates it, but the role playing and practicing turnovers and takeovers with the existing staff, I do think that the Edge offers something where they'll come in and do training with your staff in preparation for the holidays. So that's something I haven't done, but it is a tool available, especially if you're bringing on a lot of temporary help and you're using a system like the Edge. That can be daunting to get them trained on it. So I don't bring in a lot of temporary help. I have someone who helps us out part-time throughout the year, and she just works a little more during the holiday season. And besides practicing the turnovers and making sure that that top salesperson is the one serving the customers first, we don't want anybody to get offended, but I want my best salesperson out on the floor helping the customers first, and that's the person with the highest average sale. And like I said, we'll utilize the turnover, the takeover to make that happen.
Great. Amina?
I would say making sure everybody's updated on what we're like our inventory. So we have any new designers, knowing their brand story, knowing about the materials of all of our goods, just kind of like sprucing up, okay, what it is that we're doing, what different activations we have going on, what different sales, just making sure we're all up to date on where we are with our holiday activations and pitches.
Jesse?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely agree that the role playing is certainly a big factor. I think at the end of the day, that the most important thing is just creating an incredible experience for every client that walks in the door. Creating an environment where people are comfortable, and I think that that speaks volumes for the store, and it treating someone like family when they walk in always makes it much easier. I think that's always priority number 1 for us.
Thank you. And I think that sort of will probably be your answer to my next question too, Jesse, which is if you had to give one piece of advice to newer jewelers looking to make a significant impact this holiday season, what would that one piece of advice be for each of you?
I think I answered that.
Yeah, I thought you maybe did. Experience.
Yeah, just
Sarah?
making it feel special.
Thank you, Jesse.
Yeah, well, I talked a little bit about creating that atmosphere and the client experience earlier. One of the things I mentioned is putting out food, cookies, candy to get them staying in the store longer. I also do that for my staff, make sure we have snacks on hand, get them coffee, provide them to keep them out on the floor. I think anything you do to make your staff feel appreciated and take good care of them goes a long way. And as far as what you need to do, you need to plan, you need to prepare, you need to execute, with the execution being the most important part. A lot of people plan and have all these ideas, but you don't put them into motion because it's not perfect. But I say do it, try things, get out there. If you don't do it, it definitely won't work. And to remember that you will not get anything done in December. Your job is to sell and take care of your staff.
Love that. Amina?
Sorry, my button's a little haywire there. Yes. So yeah, once again, the experience I'd say is really important for me. I do a lot of one-on-one sales and a lot of one-on-one with my clients. So making sure that they're having that experience, I like to leave them with a little bit of collateral, whether it's their own little loop with my branding on there or a bottle of water, something that they can take home with them that heightens the experience for them. I also really like to keep them in the loop. Don't feel like awkward dropping a video of, hey, listen, this is my diamond sorters looking through your diamonds right now, where everything is handpicked, and show a little video and send that out to them. People really respond to that curated BTS, that making them feel that much special. You can go down the line where you have, okay, I have maybe these 6 to 8 really high value custom orders coming in. Let me take a short video of a section of it being made at each point, and then send those out periodically, and they get really excited about it, and it gets their brains turning and their creative juices flowing. And they understand a little bit more about what you're doing, because they don't really understand sometimes how many hands and how long and how hard we work to do this, to be holiday ready, and to make sure we have everything prepared for them. So it's like a little bit of lifting the veil.
Love that. Terrific. Lauren, I'm going to turn the floor over to you. I know some questions came in advance of the session today, so people submitted their questions in advance. So I'll turn the floor to you for questions.
Great. So thank you everyone for a great discussion. And thanks again to our sponsor, the Gemological Institute of America. And as a reminder, you can still type questions into the Zoom Q&A box, and we will just try to get to as many of those as possible. And while we're waiting for some questions to come in, I just want to say one more quick word about our sponsor. This webinar is brought to you by GIA, the Gemological Institute of America, protecting consumers and supporting the global gem and jewelry trade since 1931 through research, education, and laboratory services. So now let's get started with our listener questions. And I suppose we can start with the last question that came in through the chat before Amanda turned it over, which is there anything you do to differentiate someone's wish list per se versus something they just want to bookmark and maybe remember, maybe something that they're inspired by? I know, Jesse, you can go first. You talked a lot about wish lists.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with what a bookmark would actually mean, but I would assume it's just something that they liked while walking around or they saw something online. I would say it's something that you could always have in your back pocket to show someone in the future, but I would say a wish list is a little bit more meaningful, where it has some more substance to it, and it seems like there's serious interest in it. I don't know if that answers it.
It looks, maybe the question is specific to the online experience, she says. So, Amina, do you want to talk about that maybe?
Yeah, so I think what you're saying, when you heart something versus putting it on your actual wish list.
I
So
think that's what they're talking about.
Yeah, I think so. So that's really up to the client, well, the consumer, to make sure maybe that they're putting it in their wish list versus their hearts or their likes. So it depends on where you place it, really. So I'm probably not going to go into your hearted likes or anything like that, but I'll go into your wish list.
Sure,
Yeah,
I think that makes sense.
A formal wish list program is the differentiator here, of taking the time to physically fill something out and say, I want this piece of jewelry. Someone please buy it for me, and or I want to buy myself this. Let me remember the SKU number so that way when I, you know, next quarter, when I want to buy myself something, I don't forget what it was. So I think there's like two different forms to how people use the wish list. And I think that's the differentiator there, is not just engaging with a piece of jewelry, but instead physically saying, I want to receive this piece of jewelry one day.
Yeah.
Our next question came in ahead of time, and this is about marketing. This person is asking for if you've had any ideas for like window displays, so not inside display cases, but images visible from the parking lot or outdoors. Sarah, do you want to take that one?
Well, so we're in a downtown area. We're right on a busy street. So in terms of like imaging, we don't really use that in our windows. When we've renovated our store, we have kind of like window boxes that we put the jewelry in. So what we also do is we kind of try to decorate around the whole area above, like we'll hang some fall leaves in the fall or snowflakes from the light fixtures, so that it's floor to ceiling, what you can see, drawing the eye to the jewelry, of course, but creating kind of like a nice scene that somebody's going to want to stop and they'll go, oh, look at that window, looks really nice, and then hopefully look at the jewelry inside.
Jesse, what about you in the Hard Rock store?
Yeah, so I mean, depending on the season, we actually will start with fall, and we'll actually start to put different decorations in the window with stickers as well, and then the same thing for December with wintertime. That's usually when we'll start to put out Christmas ornaments and stuff like that. We actually also use a diffuser in the store that will change the scent out. So when people walk in the store, it'll have a unique smell and kind of create an experience where you really get in the holiday spirit, I guess you could say.
A seasonal scent.
Yeah.
I love it.
And Amina, I know your showroom is way up in that tower. So maybe talk about if you put anything outside the showroom on the door or anything like that.
No, not particularly. We're by appointment. I think that whole scent is one thing. Yeah, we do have like certain candles, certain things that we will put out. Maybe inside, we might do a little something, but not particularly where we are in Diamond Tower. You won't find too much of that. Maybe on the actual street of 47th, people who are on the ground level, you might see more of that. I think that what people tend to do is they'll switch their inventory out in the window. So you'll see more of their high jewelry, or they'll bring out more of their blingier things around that time instead of maybe actually decorating. But that could also be a New York City Diamond District thing where they're just not doing that as much, because other stores definitely do a lot more.
Sure. So the next question that we have is about event ideas. The question is a little bit vague. They mention an event idea like a ladies' night, but maybe you could talk more to the idea of just having a themed event, or maybe how you structure your holiday events, if there's any theme to them. Sarah, why don't you take it?
Yeah, so I talked a little bit about our big anniversary event earlier, and that's always very successful. This year, we started a ladies' night, coincidentally, and that has gotten really successful for us because of how we're doing it. And we actually collaborate with other local women-owned or women-run businesses that they come in and do little pop-ups inside our store. Which is a lot of fun for all of us. And sometimes they do mini services. We've had things like tiny tattoo artist, Botox and filler, teeth whitening. We've had a candle company, a soap company, so a clothing store. So really anything you can think of. And that's something that we promote online on social. We also send out postcards to our mailing list and distribute them to the other participating businesses to give out to their clients. So I think bringing all all of us together is what's made it successful. And we piggyback on events happening in the town. That's always the first Friday, which is when our town does an art around town and all the galleries stay open. So we kind of think of jewelry as wearable art and decided to do it on that same night.
Right.
Jesse, do you want to talk about any events that your store does?
Yeah, so like Sarah, we have one big event every year. I think the most important thing that we've noticed is really creating a fun theme. And then in the invitations, it'll list dress code and kind of create an ambiance for clients when they come in, where obviously at the end of the day you want to sell, but it creates more of a fun environment and they really enjoy coming. So it's almost like a party at the same time.
Cool.
What time of year is that, Jesse?
What was that?
What time of year?
It's usually in December.
Oh, in December. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fun.
The next question I'm gonna start with Amina, because you mentioned kind of looking to what people are wearing in Hollywood, thinking about trends and what's hot. And this next question is, has anyone worked with athletes or celebrities, and how did you contact them? How do you ask them to wear your jewelry? And I might extend this question also to include influencers and these collaborations that you were talking about. This is a question that I feel like comes up a lot, wanting to do collaborations to market, but maybe not having any idea how to initiate that.
So it goes both ways. Some people have reached out to me. Some people from their team have reached out to me. I've definitely styled celebrities, done loans for celebrities, also I've sold to celebrities as well, and influencers. So I think for me personally, I think the best thing you can do if you're going the influencer route and you are doing collabs, you need to have a contract. You need to have a contract in place, an agreement in place before you send anything or they do anything. Within that agreement, you need to have your ask is. It needs to be very black and white. What it is you're doing and what it is that you expect. So as a jeweler, we really need to protect ourselves and protect our merchandise. So I would say don't do anything until you have an agreement or some sort of contract in place for any loans or collaborations or anything like that. When it comes to reaching out, don't be afraid to reach out as well. You should have a pitch that you maybe have written already that you send out to people that you want to dress or you want to wear your jewelry. So be cognizant of the client that you want and trying to attract them, and definitely going forward and sending out that pitch as well, and being prepared if they ask you for something and what you're willing to do or what you can do.
That's a perfect lead into what might be our last question, which is a Q&A came in asking, do you like to be pitched by designers and vendors? What do you look for when you're pitched by a designer? So Jesse or Sarah, if you want to take that.
Okay. No, I don't really like to be pitched by vendors or designers. I like to seek them out. And I'm really busy when I go to shows because of our organization and our appointments back to back to back. So when people kind of are really aggressive with me, I don't appreciate that. And I don't take people that come into the store. I don't see them. That's not a good use of my time as the owner of a business. So if I approach them, then I want to hear their pitch. But if they're high pressure, then I'm probably going to think, well, I'm not going to work with that company. That's just not my style.
Jesse, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I can see what Sarah was saying in regards to that. I think for us, at the same time, the most important thing is when we work with new vendors, most of the time they're referred to us by other jewelers that we have good relationships with. Because at the end of the day, you know, jewelry industry is very relationship based. So when someone refers a new vendor to us, that's usually when that new relationship and possibility and that door will open, and we'll kind of sit down with them and see what they have. But for the most part, like Sarah was saying, you know, people reaching out constantly and trying to come in it's a little challenging for them, but at the same time, we already have so many people that we work with, so it's really hard to bring in even more than what we already have.
Good to know. Right, well, I wish we had time to get to all of these. There's so many, but thank you for your answers. And thank you again to our sponsor, GIA, and for all the attendees that joined us today. My next question will return on October 15th for appraising lab-grown diamonds. Thank you to everyone again for joining us today, and please take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.